So, hello everyone, welcome to today's workshop, Selecting Right Journals, Publishing with Cambridge University Press. I am the speaker and also the host of today. I am Kang, also Services and Asia Training Executive from Cambridge University Press. And today we also have a guest speaker. Let's also welcome Dr. Raffaella Gozzelino, who is an academic trainer from Editage. So, okay, this is me. I'm working for improving the author experience in multiple ways and helps authors to achieve their professional goals. I have 6 years of experience in training and consulting in the area of OA, journal marketing, and journal management. So, as we're going to talk about how to select the right journal, you may want to know that the main reason for an article's desk rejection is that it's submitted to a misaligned journal for your research, which means you might not select the right journal. And according to the data, like 40% desk rejection paper because the reason of 40% desk rejection paper is they didn't understand the aim and scope of the journal. So based on that, we would like to talk about the 5 topics. First, why the right journal matters. I will go through the first topic, and then I will invite Dr. Raffaella Gozzelino to talk about the second and the third topic, which are what to look for first, scope and fit, and then the second, journal impact. After that, I will go through how to publish open access in Cambridge University Press. And in the end, I will introduce also services from Cambridge University Press. Okay, so I will start with the why right journal matters. So think about, do your work and goals align with what the journal publishes? When you start to select your journal, really think about that question. And when we're talking about us, what we want as authors, the first thing must be our paper's acceptance. And then we might think about if we can connect it to the right audience, if the audience can ingest or respond or react to our work. So the top thing is about our paper's acceptance. To make sure our paper could be accepted, so first step is try to select the right journal. So how to select it appropriately? We could give you 4 tips about how to select. So first, contact with your network, your supervisor, your colleagues, really talk with them, ask some suggestions from them. And the second tip, review journals you read. You must have lots of literature reviewed articles. You must have cited a lot of papers. Try to check where are the papers from, which journals you really read or cited you really read. So review those journals and to check if these journals are appropriate. And the third tip, evaluate your shortlisted journals. So we are trying to select, you must have a list of journals. You won't just have one journal. You might have 3 or 4 target journals. Some of you even might have 10 target journals. So that's fine. So you must have that short list of your journals. So try to evaluate everything based on your research and journals like scope, journals aim and scope, journals impact, journals influence, and like if you want to publish open access or not. Try to use your thoughts, your thinkings to evaluate your journals, your target journals. And the fourth tip is use journal selection tools. We offer journal selection services, and the WOS also have journal selection tools. You can use Journal Matcher to find some suggestions from the website. So try the journal selection tools. Okay, so when you have some basically like first ideas, then you might need to consider the three questions. First, do you want to publish open access? If yes, are these journal open access or not? The second, do you want to publish like a broad or specific subject scope? So some papers would be more suitable for like international broader journals, but some papers might more suitable for the specific subject journals. So which type do you prefer? Think about that. And the final one, target a broader or specific audience. That's also from the second question. What kind of audience do you want? So think about those three questions, then you must have the first target journal, the top target journal. And when you have the top target journal, then you could think about those two questions. Is this journal, or if you published through this journal, will that be good for your career growth? Will that offer you a greater impact in readership, reach, and visibility? Really think about if this will help your future career and your future academic research. Okay, so let's move to the part for Dr. Raffaella Gozzelino. So I would like to introduce her a little bit. Dr. Raffaella Gozzelino is an academic trainer, is also a group leader and assistant professor at NOVE Medical School from NOVE University of Lisbon, Portugal. She also founded Diaspora Mundi, which is a network of qualified professionals, mainly from African diaspora, who provide services across different scientific domains and aid to the development of their countries or origin. So let's welcome to Dr. Raffaella Gozzelino.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank you for this kind introduction and especially the Cambridge University Press that in collaboration with the Editage is allowing me to be here today and talk to you, giving you some tips about how to select the journal, how to match the scope and of your research into what the journal would like to actually publish, and give you some important tips that you might want to follow. So if we can move to the next slide. So it is very important that you align the content of your research and the message that you would like to send to the right journal, as it was kindly introduced in the previous presentation. So ask yourself whether your research is indeed compatible with the journal focus, because this is one indeed of the main aspects that the journal is looking for, and it definitely increase the acceptance rates and the impact of your study once it's published, which then is reflected in an impact on your visibility, on the credibility, and on the acceptance of your research within the scientific community that you interact with. So you always need actually to remember also which is the audience, because indeed what is your content needs also to be addressed to a specific audience that every journal has. So this is why actually you really need to pay attention to this alignment, because as I said, is one of the main aspects that when editors receive your paper are looking at. So if we move to the next slide, please. So you can really consider then which is also the type of article that you would like your message to be conveyed. So you might want to actually write experimental reports or applied research or methods type of article that then address a specific type of journals. Likewise, reviews type of journals that are very useful also for student and early career researchers to start to entering into the topic of the research. But you might also want to write some letters and short communication or cutting edge type of research or cross-disciplinary. According to your choice, indeed, there are specific journals that you might want to submit your study to. There are, for instance, journals that dedicate totally to publish new protocols or new methodology that then other investigators are using for their research. Or there are journals that are even broader because they address global concerns from different angles, and therefore you might want actually to select these type of journals if your research is getting along with those type of topics. So according to the type of article that you decide to write, indeed you might have also specific audience to target to, and therefore might be more appropriate one choice versus the other when referring to journal selection. If we go to the next slide, please. So you might also want to examine which is the paper applicability according again with the studies that you are performing. And this because there are papers there are journals that are reflecting the broadness of specific articles. So there are journals that has more generalized message that are conveyed then to a more general audience. Or there are journals that are more specialized because they address the specific fields of research or even specific, let's say, types of topics. Or there are journals as well that there are even super specialized because that specific field is just applied to specific context. So indeed, this is something that you might also want to consider because for making an example for you to better understand. So if your research is highly fundamental, and you are describing the molecular mechanism of something that you are investigating, you might want to choose a journal that allows you to highlight your results rather than a journal that describe clinical type of investigation only and potentially publish articles that are simply referring to population type of study. So this is something, therefore, that I encourage you to really focus on and pay attention. How you can do that? By reading the instruction, the guideline that are published on the journal website, the instruction for authors, but also you might want indeed to pay attention also to the papers that you are reading, because those are the ones that you need for your research, and look at the journals as well to get some tips on where to publish. So in the next slide, we can actually highlight what the editorial team seeks and what you would like to look for. So from an editorial point of view, it's very important the aim and the scope. So everything needs to align. So the aim and the scope of your manuscript need to align the scope of the journal. And this is why it's very important that you review also the recent publication in each journal, because these will allow you also to identify the trends that those journals, in terms of scientific investigations, are more interested to publish. So the key topics. And then consider where the journal lands in the hierarchy of your field. So it is a journal that is highly renowned in your field of investigation. So ask your question. Then what you would like to actually look for is to look that the peer review policy aligns also with that, what are your needs. So, and look at the dates for the paper being received and the paper being accepted, because especially sometimes PhD students needs paper to finish and take their degrees, and therefore are also bound to specific time frame. But does the journal comply also with your institution or funding policies? So this is also something that you might need to look for. And also, what fees will be charged? Is an open access? What is the procedures for the publication charges that then you might need to actually pay attention to? There are many funding agencies that nowadays are encouraging for the publication on an open access type of format, and therefore everything needs to really be assessed, not simply with your institution, but also with the funders. So in the next slide, we can then see some additional tips for journal selection, because most of the time we receive numerous emails to invite our work being published in specific journals. So you need also to revise those emails, and this is especially addressing young investigators and students that are very eager to publish their work. But look at the type of the email that you receive, look at the journal website, look at the editorial board, the credibility of the editorial board, because this is something that might also allows you to make the right choice. Look at the name of the paper, ask even experienced people, their advisors, look at where the headquarters of that publisher is located, look at the name and the institutions that are usually publishing on their journal, and believe that what is useful for you is always to have a peer reviewing process. So do not incur in such, for instance, invitation. Do not pay attention to invitations that are saying that there will be no peer reviewing, right? Every journal has their peer reviewing process, and every journal needs to really publish quality research. So in the next slide, we can see some checklist that you need really to consider, which resuming what has been said up to now. So which is the aim and the scope of your journal, of your paper, that aligns the aim and the scope of the journal. Look carefully at the author's guidelines, at the journal rank, which we will talk in a moment, whether is open access or non-open access, the choice that you want to make, whether the journal is international or is local, because you might also consider to publish in a regional journal or in a national journal, because you would like to have a more, let's say, visibility within your scientific community. But consider also the rejection rates, because indeed this is especially high for renowned and very top quality journals. So it's very good to publish into that journal, but as well the rejection rate is something that you might want to consider. In the next slide, we are now talking about some important metrics that you might also want to pay attention to, like the impact factor. We will start now with the slides. So in the next slide, we can see what is the impact factor and what is the sources, right? So the impact factor is based on citations that are collected through specific databases, like the Web of Science, for instance, and is mainly referred to research articles and to review articles. And the impact factor evaluate the impact by measuring the frequency with which the average article in a journal is cited in a particular year. And how that is calculated is dividing the number of current year citation to article published in a journal in the previous 2 years by the total number of items published in the journal in those 2 years. However, not all journals are included, meaning that not all journals have their impact factor already released, because there are many new journals that are very high quality and that are really, is very good for you to publish into those journals, but they are not finished the process to have their impact factor. There are some years that those journals need to collect the citation. So this is indeed a very limited metrics that is starting to be also complemented by a more holistic view, which is in the next slide, please. So there are other things that you might want indeed to consider, because whenever then you are publishing in very high and quality journal, so you might also want to consider the costs that are associated to that, not simply to the publication fee, but especially also to the type of research that those journals require in terms also of topics. So it needs to be really outstanding, because this is the reason for which those journals are so renowned. So the access to those journals, which is also, so it needs to have subscription from your university or not, which is the audience that those journals are targeting, the reputation and the rejection rates, especially for students, right? So, and here we are all eager to publish very high, but indeed is something that is very difficult to do for all the requirements on top of what is written here. In the next slide, please. So this is the reason for which this impact factor has been associated to other metrics that are also useful whenever you submit applications or for fellowships or positions, but you are also actually trying to increase your credibility and visibility. The CITE score is based on citations that are collected through the database Scopus. So this is much broader. So it also refers to other types of article rather than what are included into the Web of Science. And is a metric that measures the citation impact of sources, including journals. So it can also track the trends of journals topics, and is calculated over a 4-year period with all citations collectively included. So all content types are considered, and this therefore is complementing the citation, the journal impact factor, because it's broader and there are much more journals that are collected in this database. In the next slide, we can also see that there are other metrics that nowadays are taken into consideration, which are named alt metric. So is article level quantitative measures of online attention. And this score is based on the volume, so the number of mentions, the sources where the article is mentioned, and the audience who is mentioning the article. So if the article has an altmetric score, it's visible on core. And this includes really the entire visibility of your research. So it's very broad. Even when journals are associating potentially their profile with your profile in social media. So in the next slide, we can see that although this alt metric is very used, and is indeed what slowly all the fields is moving into, we need also to encourage more, communication on the public level, because there are countries that might be even more prone to use this kind of metrics rather than others. So indeed, this is something that we might want actually to promote, because all these metrics is what are promoting your research, your acceptance within the scientific communities, and all countries should be very much encouraged to use this kind of metrics. So, and with that, I will conclude with the next slide, which is what you would like to consider whenever you also send your research to journals, because these are what is contributing to journal metrics. The novelty, so if you have some studies about new drugs, if you have a new patient population that you would like to address, if you have new concerns that you might want to express with your research, but also the significance. So the controversy sometimes that is referring to specific topics is key for editors to really understand sometimes which is the new tendency of a specific journal. So it's very much appreciated when you tackle specific controversial area, because this is also highlighting the relevance of your study, and which is the knowledge that you add, not simply to previous findings that you might have published, but also to the scientific community. So the quality and the novelty of the experimental design is key for your article being accepted, but also for the journal metrics, the data interpretation as well, because indeed you might want also to use your own research to open new field of investigation, which is what journals does, and the style and presentation of the data is a key for a journal's credibility. And with that, I really thank you for your attention, and I pass my word again to Dr. Kane. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Raffaella. So let's go to the next topic about brief OA overview. So here I will introduce the open access publishing workflow for you. So for Cambridge University Press, if you want to publish through open access, so first prepare your manuscript and then find your right journal and click submit your article. Use our peer review system to go through the peer review. And when you get the publication decision about accept, then the corresponding authors need to sign a publishment agreement. Then you go to the APC transaction. If your institution has signed a publishing agreement with us, you might be able to use the funding from your institution or your university. So you go to the APC transaction, pay for the APC, and then your paper go to production stage. After production stage, your paper will be published through the core, which is our publication platform. So here I would like to see that the decision to publish an article is not affected by whether it will be published open access or subscription. So don't worry about the peer review. The process is the same. So let's start. Let's explain step by step. When you're trying to submit your article, you just need to go to the journal homepage, find the button called Submit Your Article. So by click that, it will drive you to this login page. So here I would recommend you to use your ORCID account because different journals have different systems. So for example, if you use Journal of Child Language this time, you need to create an account. But next time, if you want to submit to like language or psychology, you need to create another account. So it's better to use ORCID account than every time you just need to log in with ORCID account. And this is about logging. The second thing is about corresponding author. Like what we said, we have signed a lot of publishing agreements with a lot of institutions. So if your institution has signed with us, if you are the responding author, you can use the funding your institution has already paid for you. But if the corresponding author is not from the institution or the organization who signed with us, then even if you're a first author, you cannot use that funding. So the corresponding author determines eligibility. Okay, so this is our journal assessment process, like what all the other publishers doing. First, when you finish your article, you submit to our journals. So the journal editor will screen paper first. If your paper is okay, it will go to the peer review process. If they think your paper is not suitable for the journal, you might receive reject, which called the desk rejection. So the main reason for desk rejection, as what we said, is out of scope of the journal. So if your article is okay for the journal editor, your article will go through peer review. After the reviewers give you the comments, the editor will assess the article again, and then give the decision about whether accept, reject, or also makes revisions. So normally we usually receive, like most of us receive, also makes revisions. And then when you finish your revision, you can submit your revised article back to the editor. And then they decided whether it will go through peer review again, or they can just give you the final decision. So that's about like journal assessment process. Okay, so the decisions outcomes from peer review, there will be like 3 decisions after peer review: accept, revise and resubmit, and reject paper. So normally we won't just receive accept after first revision, but finally we might receive accept. So for the revised and resubmit, you might receive after minor revisions or subject to major revisions. So for the minor revisions, it's normally like minor things need to be revised. For example, the language editing or new citations or mentioning additional topics. This won't take you too long time. But if you receive major revisions, that means you really need to redo a lot of things or do more things like experiments or significant reorganization of tags, or you need redo analysis of data or evidence. So that's about major revisions. Okay, so these are the decisions or outcomes of peer review. So after peer review, you receive the acceptance, then you will receive acceptance letter. So the corresponding author need to sign the publishing agreement, and then select the CC license, the copy, the common Creative Commons license, and then you will go to the final decision about production, about payment. So for the payment, we work with RightsLink. So you might also need a RightsLink account to pay for your APC or go through your institution fundings. So when you pay for that, the production team start to work on your article. So the production team will do copy editing, typesetting, and then the paper will go back to you. You will have like also proofreading. So at this stage, we would highly recommend you to read carefully and try to modify any tiny like typo or mistake or things you think need to revised. And then it will go to the final typesetting. After that, you will receive an email with a link to the published article. This is the final step. Your article has been published. So that's the process of open access publishment. Okay, so the fifth topic about Cambridge author services. So we offer 4 key services. First, language editing, and second, academic translation. We have translation from Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Spanish, and Portuguese to English. And the third one, publication support. Fourth, research communication. These are for like your graphic abstract, your video abstract. So that's our key services. So we also have 2 websites for author services globally and in China. The left one is about English version. The right one is Chinese version. We have simplified Chinese version website. Please feel free to click the link when you receive the PDF after the webinar. So for the English language editing service, we have different, you have different choices, standard editing, premium editing, or premium editing plus. So different services have different functions included. For example, the standard one only have checking spelling, punctuation, and grammar, while the premium will aid like presentation check or journal cover letter and manuscript assessment report. So that's totally depend on you, which one do you like. And academic translation services, I also put a link here. As what we said, we have translation from Chinese to English, Japanese to English, Korean to English, and Portuguese to English, Spanish to English. So how it works. So first, you could choose the services, and then you confirm the order. Which one do you prefer, like premium, standard? And then our experts will work on the manuscript and deliver the files. The fourth step is when you think everything is okay, just complete the payment and access the final files. So you don't have to pay at the very beginning. You just need to pay when you want to receive the final files. Okay, so why choose us? We have subject expertise, we have competitive outcomes, and most importantly, we adhere to rigorous data protection to ensure your manuscript is safe. So the confidentiality is the main reason why you choose us. Don't worry about if your manuscript will be unsafe. It will be totally safe here. So for everyone who comes to the webinar, we offer you discount code. If you want to use our services, just put this code into your web page. You will have 10% discount. You can take picture or you can wait for the PDF after the webinar. Okay, that's about the 5 topics for today, from why the right journal matters to the scope, fit, and journal impact factor from Dr. Raffaella Gozzelino. And then I explained the open access publishing process and also our author services. So thank you for coming to today's webinar. We will have 3 more webinars in the following months. So the next one is about avoiding rejections through effective writing. We will talk about how to write effectively. And if you're interested in that, just take a picture and scan the QR code. And then you can just register for the next webinar, next workshop. So it will be on 16th April this year. And if you have questions, just feel free to type your question to the chat box, to the Q&A box, and we will answer your question accordingly. So if you have any suggestions, please feel free to scan the QR code to complete the feedback survey. Thank you.